He was the head of air traffic control in New York during one of our nation's darkest moments, 9/11. And his duty was to lead a team of controllers through the most harrowing moments of their job. Mike McCormick, now a professor and air traffic management coordinator, was one of the first to learn that planes had been hijacked on 9/11, and he personally made the call to shut down New York City airspace after the attacks on our World Trade Center. That catastrophic moment inspired him to help shape the future of U.S. flight policy, eventually putting him in charge of airspace security for the United States. Now he's weighing in on this other harrowing moment that happened at Newark Airport. Take a listen.
United 2343, I am going to move you here because I just got told that the approach lost all their radars. 3 of their 4 radar screens went black, and they have no frequencies.
No frequencies. Multiple sources telling us that when air traffic control system went down for as long as 90 seconds, controllers actually lost contact with planes in the air. Mike McCormick, former vice president of the FAA Air Traffic Organization and associate professor of air traffic management at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, joins me now. Oh, Mike, so you know what it's like to lose contact with an aircraft. 9/11 clearly changed your life. What do you think happened here at Newark?
I think that it was a really tough event for those controllers and definitely real impactful upon the air traffic operation in and out of Newark International Airport. And as a result, we saw the extensive delays that have been going on through the course of the last week.
So, what are some scenarios that could have caused that to happen, Mike?
Essentially, a year ago, they moved the responsibility for the arrivals and departures from the New York approach control in Westbury, Long Island, down to Philadelphia approach control at Philadelphia International Airport. And they did that in order to facilitate the staffing at the approach control for Newark. To make that work, they had to then install equipment at the New York approach control that would transfer the radios and the radar from the New York TRACON to the Philadelphia approach control. And over the course of the past year, there have been some intermittent radio outages, communication outages. But what we saw last Monday was a loss of all the radar and a loss of the ability to communicate to the aircraft. And this went on for about a minute and a half. As a result of that, it is very difficult for controllers to reestablish communication with an aircraft or transfer responsibility of those aircraft to another approach control, to a tower, or to a center. And as they attempted to do that, the radar and the radios came back up and they were able to resume operations.
So, how do you? I'm going to get to that 90 seconds, that scary 90 seconds in a minute, but how do you fix this so this doesn't happen again? How do you troubleshoot this?
Troubleshooting a loss of radio and radar simultaneously is going to be a challenge because it's going to be difficult to come down to what the actual causation of it. And this is not a typical way of bringing radio and radar into an air traffic control facility. Normally, you have a direct connection between the approach control facility and the radar site and the radio site. Instead, this has to be a double connection between the radar and radio site to the New York approach control, and then another connection between the New York approach control and the Philadelphia approach control. So to have to follow the dots and figure out exactly where that problem came from is going to be a challenge, but it's going to be a necessary challenge in order to ensure the integrity of the national airspace system.
So, put 90 seconds into perspective for us. Is that a long time not to have comms?
It's a very long time not to have comms, and even a longer time not to have radar. At least if you don't have comms and you're able to track the aircraft on radar, you may be able to relay alternate methods of communication to those aircraft. But not being able to track the position of an aircraft that is moving in excess of 200 miles an hour across the skies is very difficult.
One more question. You mentioned the tower is in Philly, not at Newark. I don't think anyone would think, I mean, I guess that's hard to understand. Shouldn't the tower be there at the airport that is in charge of comms?
There is an air traffic control tower at Newark International Airport. However, the approach control used to be in Westbury, Long Island, and that moved from Westbury, Long Island down to the Philadelphia approach control, which is co-located with the air traffic control tower for Philadelphia International Airport.
Mike, really appreciate your insight. Couldn't have had a better conversation with anyone else. You really put a lot into perspective, taught us a lot, and we'll continue to follow this. Hopefully, they're going to be able to remedy the situation. We do not want to see this happen again. Mike McCormick, thank you so much.
Here, thank you very much for having me on.